Okay, hi guys. I'm just going to make a very quick tutorial here on using ZBrush for Z-spheres for making concept art. Okay, this is going to be a quick scribble, but it's just to remind you of the basics. Okay, so I press comma on my keyboard to get the project files up. I go to Z-spheres here, and I'm just going to pick the cave troll because I like his shape. Okay, and you can use draw, move, or scale to do any. Move will help you pose the figure by selecting a Z-sphere. Draw is to add new Z-spheres. Okay, now as you can see, it gave me two Z-spheres, which means activate symmetry from the transform palette is on. And I like to keep it on when I'm creating concepts. Okay, so for this quick tutorial, I'm literally just going to pose him a bit. Give him a big back and a kind of a long head. So he's kind of like a droopy figure, kind of like the posture of Sully maybe from Monsters Inc. Forward again so he's filled up. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to do now. And what I do to make it into a sculptable figure is, first of all, I go over here to subtool on my right hand side and I duplicate. So I keep my cave troll subtool. That's still in Z-spheres, and with the other one, if I press A on my keyboard, now I can sculpt it. So the next thing I do is go make polymesh 3D. And to give it a bit more definition, I'm going to go to geometry and divide once. So now I can see my model a bit better, and I'm just going to use two things today. I'm going to use my character chisel creature brush here, the symmetry on, so I can give him horns, give some scales on the arms, put some nostrils in, some eyes in. It's not the best of creatures, but it will do. I'm going to use this neck to create armor on his neck. As you can see, it's breaking the model slightly, which means it could probably do with a reconstruct of geometry or another subdivision. I'm going to leave that up to you to mess with. I press frame to put him back into the center. Just be careful with that scale brush too, it's very easy to go crazy with it. Now I've got some weird looking wild things, where the wild things are, kind of a abominable snowman thing going on. So what I'm going to do to make a bit more subtle work on this is I go back to standard brush, change my stroke to drag, and my alpha to this one, alpha 58 with scratches. Z sub, and bring down the intensity a bit, and what will happen is, if I zoom in you can see, also I'm changing my base color material to red so I can see better, and I'm just going to add some scratches by messing with the intensity. Okay, there we go, and maybe I'll do a little bit on the face, just a bit of scratch there. On top of the head, just to break up that symmetry there. Now it's very symmetrical at the moment, but as we said, we're only doing a concept. It does kind of remind me of a cross between Wild Things Are and a creature from an old movie called Labyrinth, called Ludo, this big dude. So that's it, that's my character finished, okay? I'm pretty happy with that. I will go to File, Save As. So I'm saving as ZPR project right now. My LIT concept file, actually a new folder. I don't need my LIT concept file. Call him, I'm just going to call him Ludo for my own reference so I know this. So Ludo Troll ZPR. Saved, okay. Done. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to also save as ludotroll.ctl. Now, For the next part, based on what I showed you last week about rendering him from Photoshop, I need to do a new document again. So I go, and this bit might take a bit of time. Okay, so I go document, new document, closing document. It's already saved, so I don't need to save again. I don't know why ZBrush does that. First thing I do is I go press back. Now that clicking is happening because of the Wacom tablet, so press it with the mouse. And the back is because the color down here is your background color. I go to document here and I bring up I'm going to bring it up to 5000 by 3000 pixels of some kind and press resize. Done. But make sure we come over here to the right and zoom out the document so you can see the whole edge so you know where you are. Okay, and with my red creature again, I turn off floor over here. And there's my guy. And you can see his movement is a bit slow because I'm working on him at a way bigger scale. So I'm going to press frame. I'm going to zoom out slightly. Frame. Okay, and I'm going to move him to the side. Now if he's tilting a bit, it's because the perspective button's on. So if I turn that off, I get the full figure. So there he is. And I go into Subtool, Duplicate, and with the Move or Rotate button, I'm going sideways, and I'm going to press Shift so I get a 90-degree angle. And drag him over here. Okay. I'm going to press T. So now all of my buttons on the right here have been kind of turned off, so it's more or less a 2.5D sketch. So the first thing I do is go Document, Export, and I go Ludo, Control, and you can see it's a PSD file. I should have really moved him over a little bit more. Just there, so that they're not touching here in the middle. Okay, turn T off again. Okay, I'm happy with that now. And I've already exported as a PSD, but I really want to get a really nice render on it before it goes into Photoshop. So I go render and I press best and just give it a minute because it's a high, if the model is divided too much, this takes longer. You can see up here in the left hand corner it's saying rendering GI shadows, and it'll come down over the figure now in a second. And as it comes down over the figure, it'll smooth out all of those shadows so it'll look better in Photoshop to paint over. The other reason I keep the red is because it's a great color to change in color balance in Photoshop to give skin tones or blues or reds or whatever colors you want, and to put an overlay texture on for 2.5D painting and drawing. The reason I ask you to save a PSD file before you do this is sometimes this can be hard on ZBrush, and ZBrush will crash out when you're on this page. So it's good to have the model saved before this render, so you have a high-res version and the low-res pixelated version. So at least you have something to draw over if this keeps happening. And all done. So the next thing I do is very carefully, without touching the middle of the screen, I go to Document, press Export, and I have Ludotrol, but I'm going to call him Ludotrol HR for high-res, so I know which one is which. I press Save. And that's that done. Okay? So I'm going to quit ZBrush. And then I'm going to open Photoshop. I'm going to open Ludotrol HR. Because now I've done him, I know I showed you last week on green screen, but I have him on a white background. You can start to either draw over it or go into your textures, which you should have from my files, bring in textures and start overlaying the textures whatever way you want. Okay, and then you can obviously on a new layer get the pen tool and start to draw in your character. Okay, I will leave the rest up to you.